Hank Sarkis. I'm going to get away from the podium a bit here so I can get up close and personal with you all this morning. In an environment of sideways economic growth, more government regulation at all levels, and increased foreign competition, all organizations need to stay competitive. Now, in spite of this hostile environment, why is it some companies soar like eagles while most others have trouble getting off the ground? You need to remember that business is a system of human relationships, and the long-term success of any organization is directly proportional to the quality of its people. Now, is it possible to supercharge your employees without spending significant amounts of money? Now, there's no magic bullet, but the answers in 2010 are the same as they were back in the mid-1980s.
If you ask a 15-year veteran in a particular division of a company, will it work or not? Does anyone ever bother in some cases to go down to the shop floor and ask the guy that really has to deliver the service or the product or whatever, in their own feeling, will it work or not?
One of the most common claims I've heard from clients over the past 30 years is, my company is different. What do these companies all have in common?
Anybody want to guess what the most common thing is about most companies we deal with? I'll tell you, it's the way they screw things up. Okay? And in that, people can get real creative. I've seen some incredibly creative ways of screwing up a company.
Now, there are many ways to screw up a company. Think about flying an airplane. There are many ways to crash. You can run into mountains, overshoot the runway, collide with another airliner, many different ways. There's only one way to safely fly. That's having a competent pilot and a properly trained flight crew who know exactly where they're headed. Now, the alarming fact is that currently many organizations are flying in the wrong direction. Back in the early 1980s, if I were to put a list together, the best managed companies would include IBM, Federal Express, ExxonMobil, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and McDonald's. These companies continue to prosper today. I spoke at a planning executives conference in Memphis. Fred Smith, chairman of Federal Express, was the keynote speaker. An audience member asked Mr. Smith to name factors for the company's success. He responded, the importance of keeping employees happy. FedEx has repeatedly been on Fortune magazine's list of the 100 best companies to work for in America. Now, companies like Federal Express have successfully stood the test of time by leveraging their human assets and converting this energy into profitable growth opportunities. Now, each company I just cited has created a culture of success.
In his tactical and strategic planning workshops for managers, Sarkis cites specific programs to help tune your organization for world-class performance. He challenges and empowers managers with his 5-step plan for organizational excellence. Hank Sarkis is an experienced corporate planner, consultant, and operations executive. Over the past 30 years, he has worked with clients such as Wausau, Potlatch, Monsanto, General Motors, Ford, Peabody Energy, Arco, Shell, ExxonMobil, and Mazda. He has been a keynote speaker at numerous professional and industry conferences. Over 40 of his articles have been published in professional and trade publications. He has been an adjunct professor at the University of Miami School of Business Administration.
I'd like you to consider people who work in the frozen food business. They endure terrible working conditions at near zero temperatures. Their companies are required to provide clothing, hot drinks, and frequent breaks. These same workers will spend thousands of dollars on equipment, take the day off without pay, wait in long lines in the cold to go snow skiing. When an office air conditioner breaks and the temperature goes to 80 degrees, people want to leave and go home. They get outside to 100-degree weather and say, what should we do? Play golf or tennis? Now, people will pay for the privilege of working harder in recreation than they will work when they are paid. What makes recreation so much more enjoyable than work?
In his workshop, Sarkis cites 5 reasons why people work harder in recreation than at work, and backs his reasoning with 30 years of hands-on consulting experience.
Okay, now we've covered goals, feedback, rules, and choice. The 5th and final reason recreation works is scorekeeping. Think about this. What are the differences between figure skating, which tends to be very polite, and ice hockey, very, very crazy? The difference is how we keep score. One way we keep score is by observation. Let me tell you a story. My first job out of college was in corporate planning with a major energy company. There was a strike and all us smarties worked outside in the field to replace hourly workers. We had the same supervisors as the hourly workers. At first, we broke all performance records. We did the job in record time. We're patting ourselves on the back. Then things started to slip. Can anyone out there guess why?
Same supervisor.
Same supervisors, right. I think you attended my loss management workshop. We had the same supervisors who tended to form conclusions through observation, which is other than agreed on standards. My work group overhauled a large pump in record time. As we sat around taking a break, our supervisor saw us and made a sarcastic remark as he passed by. You know, as if you guys don't have enough to do, I'll give you more to do. How do you think we felt after hearing that remark, particularly when we thought we were way at the head of the class, so to speak?
Mad.
You're right, mad. Another person, unmotivated. You're absolutely right. The problem with observation is that it's almost always inaccurate and generally negative. Think about this. The most motivated employee is he or she's first day of work. After that, management systematically destroys their enthusiasm and excitement. Okay, let's see a show of hands. Now, another way to keep score is management by judgment, like in figure skating. The problem, it's not peer audited and doesn't allow the participant to compare his or her past and present performance with an acceptable standard. Generalizations are frequently made from insufficient data. Why are you always late rather than yesterday you were 10 minutes late to the meeting? Now, it's common for business people to let their thoughts about 1 or 2 negative events grow entirely out of control. You always, you never, you won't. This also happens in personal relationships.
Sarkis continues describing in detail the reasons why people work so hard off the job.
Now, another reason is that participants in leisure time feel they have a higher degree of choice. In business, we use words like have to, should, or must. This translates to low job autonomy and problems. How many times have you heard someone say, I have to go play golf? Beginning over 20 years ago, we worked with major organizations to identify factors that were driving differences in operating reliability, quality, and accident injuries across their organizations. Within particular companies, why were some locations soaring like eagles and others gobbling like turkeys? Now, we developed comprehensive surveys that measured everything from soup to nuts. Over 100 items dealing with items such as organizational factors, hiring people, for instance, or training, communication, work unit factors such as teamwork, goal emphasis, physical conditions, temperature, lighting, and finally, job factors such as variety and workload and challenge. Now, we also measured loss-related factors like reliability of the operations and what employees had accidents and injuries. Now, a key component in a typical project that we conducted is to ask employees if they had experienced an on-the-job accident within the last 3 years. In a study we conducted of 5,000 workers, 12% of the people indicated they had experienced a work-related accident. This was anonymous. They didn't disclose who they were. Now, we found through our research that this group of people answered questions about their organization differently than did the people who didn't have any accidents. We use statistical techniques to identify factors that distinguish these two groups, the people who had accidents and the people that didn't have accidents. At first, we were very surprised with the results. One of the top 5 factors that correlated with low loss organization was job autonomy. That is, allowing both work groups and individuals flexibility in how they do their job. This is choice. Could somebody let that person out? Respondents who report low levels of choice were 4 times more likely to have an accident than those who reported higher levels of choice. Now, when employees are offered choices in how they do their jobs, higher job performance and job enjoyment follows. Now, we expanded the concept of self-managing work teams, where the teams create and document their own procedures. For example, one group of coal miners produced their own operating procedures on 3rd shift using a video recorder to help train new hires. Another example was a plant maintenance worker who traded his job for a day with an employee who worked in the storeroom. The maintenance worker's sister got married the night before, and he'd been out very, very late. Now, rather than calling in sick or working on the shop floor when he's not 100%, he spent the day in the storeroom helping the storekeeper update vendor files. Now, the storeroom clerk was very eager to go out on the floor to learn new skills and spent the day with the other mechanics. The supervisor didn't get involved at all. It's a win-win situation to allow employees this kind of flexibility.
If you have an employee who takes advantage.
Yeah, we had a question. What if you have an employee that takes advantage of the company? My experience is that employees can address this effectively peer-to-peer, kind of nose-to-nose. Besides, the supervisor can always intercede. Now, effective organizations don't treat employees like children by using the one person spoils things for everybody excuse. Now, in the late 1970s, I met a consultant by the name of Maurice Mascarenhas, whose common sense approach to management is incorporated in much of the work that I do today. He never wrote a book or published any articles that I'm aware of, but Mascarenhas was frequently seen in executive suites of major corporations. He was easily one of the most brilliant strategists I've ever met. Maurice said, most people don't need a boss. They need somebody to listen to them. Now, the primary job of management is to remove obstacles so people can perform at their best. Managers should be obstacle removers, not obstacle creators. Now, another key determinant of an effective organization is job satisfaction.
In his workshops, Sarkis describes his research-proven keys to organizational excellence. Hank Sarkis, president of the Reliability Group, conducts workshops and lectures on the subjects of tactical and strategic planning, organizational development, and loss prevention. Please contact him to schedule a workshop or strategy review with your management team. He would be happy to speak with you to discuss your needs.